Hi, this is David McCann for WebTNG. In this video, I'm comparing Greenshift and Cwicly. A lot of people have asked about them, and from a high level, there are a lot of similarities. For example, they each have a large number of blocks. They appeal to power users who want a lot of control and advanced features. They both work with dynamic data. They are both optimized for performance. Each one has its own theme, and they both work in the full site editor. But even though they look similar, as we go through the review point by point, we're going to see how different they are. And by the end of the video, I think you should have a pretty good sense of which one will work best for you given your goals and workflow. So let's start with the free version. This is Greenshift plugin in the WordPress plugin directory. You can see that it is regularly updated, has more than 20,000 active installs, and that it has a 5-star rating. Okay, and this plugin here, the free version, is the core or base plugin for Greenshift, and it's required even when using the premium version. Now, if we go and look in the theme directory, we find the Greenshift theme. It has more than 2,000 active installs, which is not bad for a block-based theme. You can see that it is still new, and it has 3 5-star reviews. Greenshift comes with a free plugin and a free theme. Cwicly doesn't have a free plugin and theme. It's something they're thinking about, but it hasn't happened yet, if it is going to. Now let's go look at the website for Greenshift and Cwicly. This is the Greenshift website, the website for the theme. You see there are some tutorials here. For example, how to make a mega menu. Okay. It tells you their unique features, performance and smart loaders, improved navigation. It adds responsive options, sticky header, dynamic elements, style variations for blocks. Okay, query loop patterns, template system. It's more than a bare bones theme. It has some of the features that you might expect to see in a classic theme. It comes with some layouts. There's a style guide. And then there are WooCommerce blocks and Greenshift Pro. So this is the homepage for the blocks. If we scroll down, talks about being fast, about being very customizable, and it has an animation framework. Okay, advanced design options, a big emphasis on design and performance, no dependencies, no global files. Okay, good performance. And then it talks about the advanced animations extension pack, the SEO and marketing extensions pack, the query builder extensions pack, and the WooCommerce extension for full site editing is brand new. That was just released recently. You can buy these separately, okay, design or SEO, or you can get the all-in-one pack. That's what I got. It's available for 5 sites for $90 a year or unlimited sites for $130 a year. And it also has a lifetime option, 1 site for $160, 5 sites for $220, or unlimited sites for $400. That's the Greenshift website. Let's go up here, and if we look at tutorials, you see that it has some tutorials here. So there are 2 pages of tutorials. How to load local fonts, how to rewrite affiliate links with the SEO add-on, how to use dynamic shortcodes in the query loop blocks, theme integration with Greenshift. If we go to YouTube, this is their YouTube channel. They have 78 videos, but there's some of them that are older and not about Greenshift. But they have a number of them that are about Greenshift. There are some core videos. I'll mention them in the text version on the WebTNG website that are helpful to get started. Okay, So the videos are very good, by the way. They're in-depth and show you how to use the features. Now let's go take a look at the Cwicly website. It doesn't have a free version, but you are able to use like an online playground to try it out. And they say there are more than 1,000 active users, 500 designs available, and great performance. It's built on the WordPress full site editor. It's made for speed. It's client friendly. It's under active development. They both are. And a new take on site builders. Okay, so here again, good scores in performance. And we'll look at the blocks of both Cwicly and Greenshift in a minute. Okay, some global theming, global classes, responsive layouts, visual CSS, theme builder, and some extra features. All right. Talking about the design library here. And then, kind of these are some of the big features here. Okay, the pricing is 49 euros a year for 3 websites, 99 euros a year for 10, and 199 euros a year for 1,000 websites. Okay, there's no lifetime option. If we look at the documentation section, this is it here. It's really extensive. It's a great documentation library. It's very in-depth and helpful, and often you can find the answer to your questions here. Okay, and then Cwicly also has a YouTube channel. They have a number of videos. Most of the recent ones are about new features that have been released, like the mega menu, or the WooCommerce mini cart, or filters. The videos they have on getting started, kind of the longer getting started videos, are a little bit older. Okay, so this is the overview of the websites and tutorials and documentation for Greenshift and Cwicly. Now let's go to WordPress, to some test sites, and take a look there. Okay, so here I am on a test site with Greenshift installed. This is the home page using the Greenshift theme. As you can see, they've created a home page that highlights the features of Greenshift. And let's go to the back end. I'm going to look at the theme first and then the plugin. If we look at the theme here in the themes, this is the theme here. It's a full site editor theme. And if we go into the editor and we look at the templates, this is the home page that we just saw. Okay, so this was created in the full site editor. The full site editor has these styles. These are global styles here. And you can see 5 different color palettes that are available for you to apply. Okay. We were looking at the colors. Here's that color palette. You see the details. These are global colors, okay? If you change one of the colors here, it changes it everywhere it's been used. That color variable has been used on the theme. So this is a global color system that's built into the full site editor block themes. Okay, then there's typography, and you'll notice that it's using fluid extra large, so that it's using fluid typography for the headings and typography settings. Fluid typography means that as you change screen sizes, that the size of the text will automatically adjust. Okay, and then these are your default layout options. For the width and for the content area, You can set default padding. Here it's 2 rem, and you can set default block spacing. So these are nice features of a modern block-based theme. Let's go out of this now. You see their theme options. These are kind of links to the help and an advertisement telling people about Greenshift. Now, these items here, reusable templates and Greenshift menu, these are coming from the plugins. Let's go and take a look at the installed plugins. This is the core plugin here. And it's interesting, I've seen the Greenshift team comment that they want the base core free plugin and theme to be usable for people. They're not trying to cripple it. They have 5 additional add-ons. There's advanced animation. This has the GASP library included. This is very extensive animation library included with Greenshift, but it is an add-on, and if you're not going to use animation, you don't have to install it. Some charts, some marketing and SEO, and this is going to give us extra blocks. Query and meta add-on for working with dynamic data and creating archive layouts and things, and then WooCommerce blocks. These are the plugins you get with the all-in-one. Now, reusable blocks. This is something you can use with classic themes or with block-based themes. Greenshift has exposed this area here for you to save and work with those to make it easier to work with. And if we look here at the settings, here you can load your fonts locally. You can pick where you want your CSS to be loaded by default, and you can add some global CSS. You can set your breakpoints for 4 breakpoints. You can enable script delay for Greenshift scripts and the API keys for Google Maps. The add-ons here, we've already got them. Upgrade, we've got everything installed. This is where you can go to get help. And this is where you can have kind of a link shortener built in for affiliate links if you're using those. And this is a feature of that SEO plugin. You know, I would probably use a dedicated plugin for this, but for some people, this would be a nice addition, I suppose. And then this is where you enter your licenses. I've got the block-based theme, Greenshift theme, installed, but I wanted to point out that Greenshift works very well also with classic themes. Here I've activated Cadence. It works very well with Cadence, Bloxy, Astra, you know, with any theme. So that's a nice thing with Greenshift, is that it's going to work well with classic themes or full site editor themes. All right, let's go and take a look at a page. Here are Greenshift helpers. You'll notice I didn't point them out, but those are available also in the site editor. And here you can get templates. There's a very extensive template library. So you see there are 41 sections in total. These are nice and attractive. You can look at ones that use the animation add-on, the query add-on, or the marketing add-on, if you want to filter by those. Here you can see there are 10 layouts, experimental. They've got 11 of those. And then you can save your own as well. Here you have Greenshift globals. This is available for when you're using a classic theme. You're not going to have the block-based global styles available, then you would use these colors and typography instead. Now, if we look at the list of blocks, you see here are the WooCommerce blocks, price, tags, add to cart button, single page product button, product rating. Marketing and SEO, here's a comparison table, an event box, an offer box, a review box, a score box. And if we look at the query and meta getter, this is for custom fields or some of the dynamic data associated with posts and custom post types. There's a thumbs up or thumbs down, a wish list. You have a visibility block for conditional display options, advanced query list builder. Let's take a look at this one. We'll look here at the block settings. You can set your query, category, tags, author. You can add some query parameters, taxonomy query, custom meta, or search by title. You have data settings, build settings, meta panel, filter, so on, okay, to create this kind of listing. Okay, and then I also wanted to point out this query loop builder. So this is an advanced version of the query loop block. You have similar features that we saw in that listing. You can do pretty deep customization of the query. Has a meta getter. See, this is user data, so this is the one that gets the author name, post data. Okay, so you can add custom fields in here. And then there are these marketing and SEO ones, comparison table, offer listing, score box. And then there are animation blocks for an animated blob, sequence animation, Lottie, a page navigation, kind of a vertical navigation, horizontal scrolling. This is the chart plugin. And then these are the base blocks. You know, you have container wrappers here for container and flexbox. You can also use some CSS grid options. Okay, so this is pretty advanced, but you see things like info boxes, video box, progress bar, map, social share. You know, as we saw when we were looking at these query related ones, here, let's remove this one. And let's add, let's say, advanced header. Okay, so you have two tabs. You have your heading tab. You can enable an animated heading. You can have a dynamic value, so you can get the value from the database. You have typography or gradient typography options, font size and background image mask, box shadow, heading spacing, border size, heading element, highlight, heading, content, subtitle. Okay, so a lot of kind of options there, as well as the ability to set them by device size, something that the default Gutenberg editor doesn't have yet. If we look at advanced, here we see there are a lot of animation options, CSS transforms, positioning. You can set a custom anchor and add custom CSS. And you look up on the contextual toolbar here, you can set your dynamic data here. You can set the z-index, set an absolute position. These are some of the features of the Greenshift blocks. And one last thing I want to point out with Greenshift here is that the dynamic data options, I think it has the best support for advanced custom fields, but it also has support for Metabox, Toolset, Pods, and Jet Engine. Greenshift works with all of these custom field providers. And so that's a nice plus with Greenshift also. Now let's go and look at the Cwicly theme and Cwicly blocks. And the first thing we see here is that the homepage looks much different than the Greenshift homepage. I think these are the excerpts for the archive, and Cwicly, the idea is it's a blank slate and you bring the design and the structure and content. If we go and let's look at the plugins here. Here's Cwicly plugin, and it's just one plugin. We don't have ACF as a plugin here, but ACF Pro is bundled with Cwicly. So that's a nice feature. However, I was just showing you how Greenshift works with any custom field provider. Cwicly right now is ACF only. It does have deep support for ACF. If we take a look at the themes, this is the Cwicly theme. It's basically just got some resets in it and one or two style options, and that's it. If we look at the Cwicly admin menu item, there's a menu item here for themer, for settings, for role editor, and then kind of a getting started wizard. One thing that's a super feature of Cwicly is this role editor. You can set the permissions by role or user. Very fine-grained here. A lot of control over Gutenberg and Cwicly. You can hide or show the different Cwicly panels by role or user. All of the features, conditions, and whatnot, the different types of properties, the toolbar options. Cwicly has a code block where you can add custom code, and you can enable or disable that by role. You can turn off then any of the Cwicly blocks and enable them or disable them by user or role. Set which post types the blocks will show up on. All right, so this is a really nice power tool that comes with Cwicly. Pretty unusual to have this depth of control. If we look at the settings, okay, you have icon collections, you have font sets, and this is where you can load your custom fonts for local use. Okay, Google Maps API, place where you can add custom code. And then a number of advanced settings. Some of these are related to Cwicly, and other ones are optimization settings like removing default Gutenberg styles and emojis and SVG filters and things like that if you aren't using them. And then this is a place for regenerating the HTML, CSS, global classes, and global styles. One thing to note is that the notice to regenerate these shows up every time the plugin has been updated. So that's something to keep in mind. I put in a feature request asking if it's possible to automate that. This is another big feature of Cwicly, and that is the themer. Okay, we saw with Greenshift how you can click and go into the editor. Well, the themer is kind of an advanced version of the full site editor template management features. We can create a custom template or one of the default WordPress templates. With the custom ones, you have visibility conditions. So you can show or hide by the type, single archive author, based on ACF fields or cookie fields or date fields, time fields based on shortcode value, whether the user's logged in or not, the username, user roles. Many of those are features that the default Gutenberg full site editor don't have. And then can set whether it's single for the front page, 404, post pages, media. And include or exclude, you have multiple conditions here, and you can set the priority as well. So this is an advanced version of the full site editor. If we go in and edit now, let's look at some things in the editor. I'm looking here in the full site editor, but a lot of these same options are available, when you go into a page as well. Okay, this is the Cwicly design library. Okay, so there are a number of pre-designed sections and pages here that are available. It's interesting, you can break these down by buttons designed. You can have layouts and wireframes, but you can also store styles and classes and style sheets in external classes. And this is one thing with Cwicly we'll see as we go over that does have the option for global classes, styles, which are a nice feature, but currently there's no way to package them all up to have a theme, say, or a template collection that you could import to get a fast start. When we were looking at Greenshift, we saw it had those different color palettes and things like that. We have our responsive options. And there's a Cwicly version, this block list navigator. This is the Cwicly version of that. These are the full site editing styles. You note that there's not much there because Cwicly has this global styles option. This is your global styles. You have colors that you can set. And of course you can add colors, and these become color variables. There's typography. And you can set your fluid typography here. You'll need to manually set it here. There are elements. You can choose blocks and elements and give styles to those. And there are settings here for setting the breakpoints and the default section widths, padding, margins. Okay, and you can export or save to the library. This is options for the back end, and you can save your options here. Okay, this is where you can add a global style, you can add global style sheets, and you can import external classes. So this would be nice if you're using a framework or something. If we go and look at the blocks, the Cwicly blocks, they're the same color as the Gutenberg blocks, but they have the little Cwicly logo above them. So you have column and section, and you have a div for your containers. There's a heading, a paragraph, which is like a super version of the Gutenberg paragraph. Image button, accordions, tabs, icons, list, menu, nav. So it does have a new mobile menu, advanced navigation feature. You have input, query, filter, taxonomy terms. This is the code block I mentioned. But one thing I wanted to point out is that you don't see the content type blocks like Greenshift had, where you had like product comparison and affiliate marketing features and review blocks and things like that. These are more basic building blocks that you can use to build up and make your own versions of those. So that's a lot more work to build those up yourself. But you can do it then the way you want. It's customized for your use. So if we put a section in, you'll notice that the Cwicly container blocks have this stack. And one of the frustrations of Gutenberg, sometimes you add a block and it doesn't actually go into the container or where you want it to go. And by using this, then you know that you're putting the block that you're adding into the container. When we look at a Cwicly block, here's the access to dynamic data here. You can use WordPress or ACF. You can add to the design library. You can copy, paste styles, delete. You can use a dynamic inserter. Okay, but this is kind of the feature of Cwicly that's kind of similar to Oxygen or Bricks, is that you have a lot of design options and they're organized the same for every block. Okay, the primary tab shows you things that relate to that particular block. In a heading, you would pick your heading size. Okay, and the text color and the link color in the background, and typography, margins, and padding. Here you can add display conditions for most blocks. So very extensive here, display conditions. You can add a link wrapper. You can create interactions. You can go into global styles and classes. We looked at that. These are the design tabs, okay? So you have background options. You have typography options. You have layout options. And so you'd use these to override your globals. Sizing options, margin and padding, borders, effects, transforms, pseudoclasses, and relative styling. Has your styling, I think, affect inner blocks. So a uniform set of styling design options for every block, And then here you can add custom CSS. You can add scrolling options, entrance animations. You can add custom attributes to your blocks, which are useful for JavaScript programming and for holding extra data. And you can add a tooltip. Extensive options here for the blocks. Okay, and now let's add a query block. We looked at the query loop of Greenshift, so let's look at the query block of Cwicly. You start out and you add a template. So you're going to have one block here in your template, and then the other blocks will have the same layout and style. So like if we added a heading here, see how that is propagating that. And then if we wanted to add, let's see, say we want to add a Cwicly image block, and we can set then our dynamic content, and let's make it the featured image. Okay, and then let's go into the query block here, and you can inherit query from the URL, like if you have an archive that's going to be set from the URL. But if we turn that off, then we can go into the query editor. And so we want it to be about posts. And here now you can set include, exclude, imparent, not imparent, author options in the query, MIME types, comments, permissions, the status, password relations, the ordering, pagination, search, taxonomy queries, meta queries, date queries, add code. Very detailed query editor. One other point about Cwicly, now that we've taken a look here, is that Cwicly really works best with a block-based theme, because then you can use this themer feature. And in theory, you can use Cwicly with classic themes like Cadence or Blocksy. I don't see many people actually doing that, and it's possible that if you do, you might need support to give you some code snippet or something if you're using advanced features of the theme. Most people I see using Cwicly are using it with the Cwicly theme. That's kind of another difference between Greenshift, which is used often with Cadence or Blocksy or other full-site editing themes. All right, so we've done a walkthrough of Greenshift and Cwicly. Now for some summary and conclusions. Let's start with looking at the themes. They both have a free theme. The Greenshift theme is newer, and it leverages recent features of block themes, like multiple color palettes, global styles, and integrating settings from theme.json. The Greenshift plugins work well with any theme, including classic themes. The Cwicly theme is a blank theme, mainly just a reset. In theory, you can use Cwicly with any theme, but you need a block theme to use the themer feature, and there might be issues using Cwicly blocks with a classic theme. Speaking of blocks, Greenshift has many what I'll call content blocks, such as product comparison, pros and cons, scores, offers, things like this that are already put together for a particular use. Greenshift block settings are a little more ad hoc and they vary by block. Cwicly has more what I'll call builder blocks, that is, components that you can put together to create your own content blocks. And the block settings are standardized across all of the blocks. So the block settings are a little bit more like Oxygen or Bricks. And I think I've seen the Greenshift developer mention that he has on his roadmap to revisit those and to make them a little more uniform. If we think in terms of strengths and weaknesses, it's faster to start building a site with Greenshift. It has a lot more kind of default style options in the theme and in the blocks. With Cwicly, you need to set up your global styles and build out the templates manually. Cwicly has very strong support for dynamic data features, though they're just for ACF. The query builder is very extensive. You have conditional display conditions that are very extensive. There is a filter option, though it's a little bit difficult to use. And you have access to code blocks, so you can use your own PHP if you want to. Greenshift is not quite as deep in this area, but it works with ACF Metabox, Jet Engine pods, and Toolset. In terms of overall coherence, Cwicly seems a lot more complete and things are more standardized, and Greenshift feels a little bit more ad hoc. If you think about it, it almost seems like Greenshift has been developed in stages, kind of iterations, because you have the different plugins and each one focuses on something different. Now, speaking of strengths and of the plugins for Greenshift, Greenshift has the animations plugin. It's pretty extensive. Cwicly does have some animations, but I think Greenshift has way more features in this area. Both have good teams and good support. So that's my comparison of Greenshift and Cwicly. If you're looking at the two trying to decide which one to use, I think that the different points shown in the walkthrough and mentioned in the summary and conclusions should help you. There's a text summary of the video on the WebTNG website, along with some links to other resources for Cwicly and Greenshift. If you haven't already subscribed to the YouTube channel, please subscribe and like the video. Thank you for watching.